Alright, welcome back everybody. We're live. It's Zenith Online Racing. It's round 16 of Tier 1. We are here in France for the French Grand Prix, the Circuit Paul Ricard. So, two French-speaking races back to back. My name's Arbega. Glad to have you along for the ride tonight. I got a couple guys putting inters on. I don't really understand what they're doing. Being cheeky, I guess. I'm pretty sure it's not raining. What do you know? Oh, look at that. Packer. George Russell, a.k.a. Nathan, is our championship leader. He's got out in front of Packer here for the qualifying lap. I think he is actually on the inters. He is. Well, I don't understand what he's doing. Okay. Well, this is one of the weirder starts to qualifying I've seen. There's a bounty out on Fuzz. I don't know what these guys are doing. Like, guys out on intermediates, like, I just don't understand. He's not the only one either. Dylan's doing the same thing. There's no explanation other than they're just taking the piss, which is a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. I don't think we really should be doing that. Just, I don't know. Maybe he just wanted to get in Packer's head, psychological advantage. I have no idea, because he's just obviously gone back into the pits anyway. Anyways, on board with Packer, and he's gotta stick it on pole and win the race tonight if he has even a slim chance of fighting for that championship. Last week, Mr. Russell missed the Grand Prix and allowed Packer right back in the hunt. Oh, I'm assuming that's exactly what's going on. This is Tier 1, it's not goof around time. I put those toasty little softs on there and go put in some proper laps. It's just arrogance. I hope he does bottle it tonight after that. I would love to see him bottle the race tonight after wasting a whole lap's worth of time on inter tires. Not on my watch, yeah, no. I'll call it like I see it. And there's really no rule saying you can't. Alright, Packer, what you got for us? 27, 23, okay, so based on what I was hearing from the times, it's well ahead of Scavney. But I was thinking he needs to get into the 27s to be competitive, right? Maybe not. 23.8 for Fusions. We'll see how that holds up. Seabass 28.9, Beck with a 29 flat, so pretty much everybody going for the softs early in qualifying here. Team Bermuda, welcome. We'll see how Fusions holds up. That's a pretty decent qualifying lap, though. He's ahead of a lot of our mainstay Tier 1 guys, so not bad so far. Ace Cobalt has gone to the top with a 28.2. Russell on a hot lap. Is Puff on a push lap? He is. Making his way around that final corner. Gonna get on that throttle nice and early. Quick upshifts there. Opens that DRS up. What can he pull here? A 29 flat. So just behind Beck. but ahead of Scavney by a few tenths. So not a bad lap from Puff there to get things rolling. He's ahead of his teammate Doth, but Doth did go out on the medium tires. See if Doth is going for another run here. No, he's got to turn down, so it doesn't look like it. Dylan on his out lap now. Ryan on a flyer on the mediums. He should be done that lap soon. We'll check in with George Russell after that. And Ryan well off the pace here. He's going to have to find a lot more time. Check in with George. Senor Jorge. He's also known as Nathan. I mean, he's had about 4 or 5 different names this season. And, oh man, he gets away with that. Looked like he was cutting it, but it must be one of those corners where if you point it to cut, it just doesn't. Yeah, he's using all of the track here. He's looking pretty quick so far, so purple in both sectors. Based on what we're hearing from the other league guys, this should be a provisional pole lap here. Saw you and Barton golfing on on my friends list earlier, so there's a bunch of free money for you guys if you want to join our league. Look at that. Russell backs out of the lap. Jeez. I mean, what did I say? Arrogance? I mean, he obviously is really fast because he lifted and still got pole. My lord. Imagine if he just actually pushed all the way to the end. He must have cost himself at least a second there, possibly just shy of. You thrashed him. Were you guys playing head-to-head, or? Anyway, yeah, go check out the ZOR League. We got, I think there's like 8 or 9 of us in there now, so the tournaments are starting to get a little more, you know, you're going to have competition because there's a bunch of more people now. It's even better than the last ZOR Golf Association that we had set up. So, anyways, can't get too distracted talking about golf here. We got a whole qualifying session to get through. Playing some tough courses, like setting stuff up nicely, so should be challenged. I mean, I don't know. You guys will probably just beat us down and take all our money anyway, but that's fine. T-Money is on a flyer. T-Money on these mediums. It's a nice turn in. This is a really tricky part of the lap here. He just keeps it on a little bit wider and he would have lost the lap, but yeah, you want to try and carry as much momentum as you can through these sort of medium speed corners, I suppose, like just a lift and bite rather than, you know, heavy braking or anything like that. Let's see what T-Money's got here. It doesn't look like it's going to be good enough to reach that top 10. No, it's not. That's a 30.2, so stays 14th. He's definitely going to have to go out on the softs, I think, to try and get into the top 10. There's a pretty short field here tonight, so we could see some guys potentially, you know, just kind of choose to start back there and get their tire choice. It's not terribly difficult to overtake here, so if you're quicker than the guys ahead of you, you should be able to get by. Howdy, Denmark. Good to see you. Karaka. Are you sharpshooter? You're sharpshooter, right? You couldn't make it tonight. That's a shame, because you definitely would have been mixing it up with Cobalt and Packer there, I feel. We're on board with Scavney right now. He's was leading the Tier 2 championship, but moved up to Tier 1 mid-season. He's been pretty competitive up here. Not the greatest qualifying sessions, but really solid in the races, and he's been picking up bags of points every week, so I think he'll be pretty happy with his performance here through the second half of the calendar up in Tier 1. See what Scavney can do here. He's barreling towards the line, and it's going to be a 28.5. That's a really solid lap from Scavney. That puts him up into P4 for the time being. Really only behind that group of front runners that seems to be out front every week. Cobalt, Packer, Russell. So really, really good lap there from Scavney. Just right on cue as he's receiving praise for his performance so far. Our friend Fusions, Team Bermuda's cheering him on in the chat. Right on board with Fusions here. See if he picked up some pace today. Got a few pointers in the Discord, and see if that helps him out finding more lap time here on his second run. He does improve 4:10, so he jumps just ahead of Scabney there. Fuzz jumps into P6 there behind Scabney, so Scabney's lap holding up really nicely now. Comes Seabass. .28.6 for Seabass, so he's going to slot into that midfield group nicely. Puff on a run. Puff up 3/10 according to the timing. That would put him just ahead of Seabass, or around Seabass, maybe just behind. Good exit out of the final corner there. That should help a bit. And it's a 28.6, so yeah, literally just tucked in behind Seabass there by 200. So very nice job from Puff. He's just inside that top 10 again. Out qualifying his teammate Doth at the moment. Mr. Joshua's gone off the track here, likely avoiding some traffic. Yes, he is. Jinnit moving through. There's Ryan again. He needs to find a pile of time here. He's gone out in the mediums once more. And Cobalt's actually gone onto provisional pole here. 27.5 from Cobalt. It's a really solid lap time, but we know Russell probably can beat that if he doesn't lift on the straight. So I would expect Russell to maintain pole position when it's all said and done, but you never know. There's Seabass going very slowly. There's he out of fuel, perhaps. Ryan just making his way through Sector 3 now. This last corner can be very tricky, but if you just turn in at the right moment, you can get on the throttle nice and early. I think he had to hesitate just a little bit there because he was riding a lot of curb, and it's going to be a 29.9, so still no improvement for Ryan. He's going to have to find a pile of time if he wants to start in the top 10. He probably needs to put on a pair of softs. Russell backs out of it again on the mediums. Doesn't want to start on those tires, apparently. So he's going to go for one more lap, it would seem, and he's going to put the soft tires on for that one, I would think. Still Dylan on a run. See how Dylan does. It's really only a hot lap at the moment. I guess Beck might be on one as well. Still Dylan towards the line. It's a 28.2, so that slides him into P3. Packer has a little bit of work to do here. He's going to have a guy, some guys. If he wanted to start on mediums, he definitely backed out of that lap, so not sure why he would have done that. He backed out of his first flying lap on the softs to... He still went provisional pole and lifted. Like, it was pretty ridiculous. So, I definitely think he's got a pile of time in that lap still. Got Beck on a flyer here. Let's ride with him. $15 people tuned in for quali. That's good to see. Nice and early. Got just under 4 minutes left in the qualifying session here, and then about 45 minutes of racing for you after that. And George Russell, our championship leader, is going to be looking to all but lock up the championship tonight. If Packer has a disaster race, he could pretty much guarantee his championship. I don't know if he mathematically can, but it would be pretty tough to lose it. So back into P6, nice lap from him. But you never know, anything can happen. It's racing. Here's Doth on a flyer. Needs to find a bunch more time to get ahead of his teammate there. He's been qualifying very strongly the last few weeks and having some really solid race pace, but so far has not shown that this is one of his favorite circuits. hopefully found some more time on this run. We'll see as he heads towards the line. 28.3 for Doss, so up into P5. That's about where we were expecting. That's where he's been most weeks lately, and then putting in some nice drives for podiums. So between Packer and Nathan is 20 points right now. So George Russell, aka Nathan, is 20 points ahead of QVR Packer. So I mean, with a win and Packer in P2, then that's, you know, a slight increase, but there's still 2 races left, so Packer could still technically win with some good fortune. Let's see if we can find another flyer. Fusion's on a flyer. Let's ride with him. That wheel all over the place. Really fighting this car. Trying to wrangle every 10th of time he can out of this thing. Yeah, so 20 points. So obviously, if Packer has some kind of disaster and gets no points, and George Russell wins it, then Fusions runs pretty wide there, but does not get invalidated. He's still green, it looks like, to me, so probably just felt like he lost too much time. So Packer onto provisional pole with a 27.5, just edging out Cobalt. That's an 8/10 improvement, so he'll be happy with that, I feel. Cobalt just starting his hot lap. Fusion's finishing his flyer. Let's stay with him. Oh yeah, sorry. He did back out of that lap, did he? Durnia invalidated. Seabass on a run right now. Puff on a run. Puff a little closer to being done. Let's see what he can do here. He's just outside that top 10 right now, which might not be a bad place to start, but going to try and stick it in there. And 28.4 for Puff, just behind his teammate Doth. That's a really good qualifying for Puff, matching his teammate more or less. See if he can hang on to that. Buzz just starting his flyer. Durnia going very slow here. He must have run out of fuel. Seabass on a run. A lot of guys on outlap still. So Seabass. I know Cobalt started a lap and Russell started a lap. Here comes Seabass though. What can he do? Seabass splits Doth and Puff. Wow. Oh, he's actually matched Puff's time. And if I'm not mistaken, the person that sets it first is supposed to get the position, right? So that's interesting. Wow, he's actually matched Puff. I'm surprised by that. I thought Puff and Doth were so close together that they wouldn't be split. Cobalt did not improve, so he's done. George Russell, he's up a 10th on his previous run. That's what it said. I can't. Right. Maybe he's had an error here. That would be surprising. It's supposed to be very good at this track, but you never know. That's what I was saying. It's racing. Anything can happen. My suspicion is that he'll jump to the top of the timesheets here, though. There it is, 26.9. So, yeah, man, he lifted a lot on that straight this previous lap. So, that's 6/10 up for George Russell. I don't think that'll be snatched away. Dylan's invalidated. Seabass is done. Durnia is well off the track and invalidated. Joshua pushing, he's invalidated. Jinnit pushing, he's clean. Let's see what Jinnit can do here. He needs something here. Looking solid for Jinnit. Let's go. P11. So, not a bad place to start from. But I thought he would actually get a little more. He's right in the mix, though, time-wise. Like, look how tight it is in that midfield there. Dylan, 28.2. And down to Ryan in 14th is 28.7. So, half a second spreading 9 positions. That's going to be a very tight race in the midfield tonight. Really solid qualifying so far. I mean, I guess it's over now. But interesting. Packer gets it on P2, gets ahead of Cobalt. Cobalt and Sharpshooter, two drivers have been sort of messing with Packer the last few races, getting amongst him and around him. So good job from Packer there to make sure he gets P2. He needs to be chasing down Nathan. He assumes, or Russell. He assumes he won't be able to beat him here, but he's going to want to stay as close as he can and just make sure he gets at least P2 here. And it'll keep his hopes alive going into next week. The gap would be about 27 points if they were to finish 1-2. All right, intermission. Not really. It's about 2 minutes here. 2 minutes till the race starts. And any predictions from the chat for? Let's assume that it's going to be. I mean, let's just assume George Russell's winning the race. Okay, Packer and Cobalt definitely are close enough to be fighting. I think, pace-wise. So I think from P2 down, we can have some predictions to see if we can get a top 4 or maybe anybody. Driver of the day, anybody to watch for. Maybe Jinnit, P11, starting P11, carries really good pace. Could see Jinnit make up a lot of ground. Yeah, the top 5, that's what I mean. We have a very competitive field here. Like, I mean, if you look from P4 down to P14 and split by half a second, that's a pretty long lap. So, I mean, that's great to see. That's the kind of stuff you want to see when you're racing. There's always going to be the quickest guys out there that go out and win most weeks, and I think it's hard to avoid that when you run a public league. But yeah, when your midfield is that competitive, and I mean it's been like that all season. I've done every race as the commentator, and all season we've been seeing really, really tough competition in the midfield. Like week in, week out. There's a solid 10 cars or so that are just so close together, and there's barely anything between them. And the tracks where it's hard to overtake, we end up with a lot of cars running close together. Go for a Cobalt. I mean, you're right there. You get that slipstream behind Nathan down the opening straight, and you never know. It's just nice to see a couple more drivers are capable of getting in amongst that top 2, so I'm just happy about that. Sharpshooter has been pressing in those podium places the last few races as well, so really good to see. Just makes next season a little more promising, right? We're going to rebalance the tiers, make sure everybody that's quick is where they belong, and okay, so medium tires for Jinnit, Scavney, Durnia, and then Ryan, Josh, and T-Money have all decided to go hard. Excel Dillon actually starting P4 on mediums, so is one to watch. I did not realize he's starting the race on the medium tires. That's pretty good for him. Could really pay off starting on those tires, especially if he can manage to run close to these guys. So Russell on pole, Nathan championship leader, Packer the contender right behind him in P2. Cobalt is P3, Dillon P4. Fuzz slots into P5. Nice qualifying from Fuzz there. Doth P6. Seabass splits the Renaults. Puff P8. Fusions P9. Beck P10. Jinnit P11. Scavney in P12. Durny takes P13. Ryan 14th. Mr. Joshua's 15th. And T-Money in P16. Who's at the back there? It's not T-Money. That's T-Money. Who's behind him? Ryan? Yeah, it is. Anyways, that's what it was. That's why it was showing the back of the field when I was on Ryan. I was like, what is going on here? Alright. 27 laps of Paul Ricard. Hopefully they all get a nice French-colored gorilla statue at the end. Big night for Packer. Needs to walk up P2 here to maintain a chance in the championship with 2 more races to go. So we got Italy next week and then Britain, the makeup race at the end of the season. And it's all said and done for Season 5 of ZOR. This man's been dominant this year when he does show up. He's missed a few races. I mean, if he had been here every single race, I think it would be locked up by now. But Russell slotting into P1. See if he can get a nice lead here at the beginning and see if Packer can keep up. Cobalt going to apply some pressure to P2. Looking to secure a podium. Dylan in a great spot for a podium in P4. We are about to go racing in France here. We have 5 lights on. And they're off. Great start for George Russell. Nathan there. Packer looks like he got a pretty good launch as well. He's right on him already. Everybody pretty clean through. Oh, someone spun. We've got a Haas around. We have a Haas that's gone around. Oh, and a collision in the back, it looks like. Looks like Fusions maybe got tangled with somebody there. Puff Digital alongside. Oh, there's a Ferrari gone. Mr. Joshua's lost the car now as well. So we have another yellow flag. Jeez, let's try and pick up the timing here. Where are we? Let's get back to the front. So Packer, is he going to get a tow down this straight for the first time? Cobalt really applying the pressure as well. He's right there. Packer taking a look. Nothing there yet. See if he can keep up. Cobalt right on his tail. Looks like Durnia and Beck going wheel to wheel here as well. And Puff Digital stuck just behind them. Comes Puff making a move on Beck down the inside. Tricky corner. You easily lose the car there, but Puff does go through. Needs to get back up there and support his teammate. Durnia has made his way between them. He needs to fix that problem. Durnia starting on the mediums. In P12 or so. He's got up to P7 here. Great race starter, Durnia. He always seems to find his way into the top 10 when he doesn't start there. Here comes Cobalt. Putting some pressure on Packer here on lap 2. We have somebody going in the pits. It seems 2 cars, actually. Beck and Jinnit. Comes Cobalt, but not close enough yet. Nothing too crazy the first lap or two. Just pretty much standard stuff. A couple position changes. See if anybody's gained anything massively here. Durnia up 6. T-Money up 6. That's good for him as well. Durnia's just lost a place to Puff, though. So as Puff got through on the straight, it looks like he has. Nice job from Puff making some ground there. Packer right on Russell. He's going to think about having a look here, I think. It's close enough to take a peek. Look at that, the front 4 all running very close together still. Packer just starting to separate from Cobalt a little bit, trying to hang on to Nathan out front. Ryan and Seabass have gone in the pits now as well. So Dernia is hanging on to Puff pretty nicely there. Puff has not caught up to his teammate much. Looks like Packard not quite close enough for a move here. Dernia is close enough to Puff, though. Let's check in with that battle. Dernia with that DRS closing on Puff, but not close enough to make a move. That's going to help Doth if Puff can stay in front of Dernia. Let Doth get away a little bit. Dernia putting some pressure on Puff here. Puff got by, but now Dernia got those mediums warmed up, and he's starting to look a little racy. So Puff's going to have to get his elbows out here. He is gaining a bit of time on his teammate ahead. Fastest lap for George Russell. Looks like he's turning it up. Packard just sliding out of that DRS range here. Looks like Dylan's tire starting to warm up as well. He's going to put some pressure on Cobalt. So yeah, Dylan's built a nice gap to Fuzz there, but he's putting some pressure on Cobalt. He's going to try and close in and take that place. Puff still doing a nice job keeping Dernia behind here. Doth really needs to be putting the hammer down now while his teammate's playing a bit of a blocker position here. Doth needs to get away from these guys. Puff doing a really good job keeping Dernia and Scavney at bay on those mediums. Still pretty close in the top four here as well. Oh, we got a yellow flag, it looks like. And that would be Ryan, who's lost the car. He's been struggling a lot here tonight. Didn't have much pace in qualifying, and now he's gone round during the race. So it's a bit of a rough outing for Ryan at the moment. All right, Dylan putting some pressure on Cobalt now. He's going to have that DRS to see if he can close in and take a look. It looks like Dernia and Scavney very close to Puff as well. Dylan not close enough. Let's check in on the Puff battle. Here comes Matthew Dernia down the middle. And Scavney has to wait his turn. He is stuck behind still. Dernia does go through, though. Yeah, I would agree. The softs must be burning up at this stage. So see if Puff can get some DRS help here and try and close up to his teammate following Dernia. As Dernia is starting to pull some time in from Doth here. Cobalt has pit, so he's going to drop down. Doth has pit as well. Dernia, good. Puff should stay out anyway, I would think, just because he does have that DRS at the moment. Puff, is he under threat from Scavney? He is. Can he defend that? He's just going to park it on the inside line, and he's going to have that corner. Nice job from Puff there. Keeps Scavney at bay. Oh, a little shaky on the exit, though, and Scavney scoots through. So Puff will be able to pick up a nice double slipstream down the main straight here, and that should be beneficial to him on his in-lap. Obviously, you don't want to lose any positions, but these tires are definitely falling off, and should be able to pick up a nice toe and DRS here. See if that DRS opens up. It does. There he is. So that'll help him. Dylan into some clearer air now. He's just barely hanging on to Packer. Mr. Joshua on the hards. T-Money on the hards. Those guys are going to be running really long. And guys in the fresh mediums, they're a fair distance back, and see how quickly they can close on those hard runners. Scabney putting some pressure on Durnia here, so that's nice to see. Mr. Joshua putting some pressure on T-Money. Puff pits, understandably. Soft's definitely falling off. Mr. Joshua trying to close on T-Money. Doth gets out in front of Puff. Was Puff going to come out in clear air? He is. That's actually really good for Doth and Puff. They're going to run in clear air now. Durnia is sort of running a different strategy, so not really a concern of theirs. They can kind of just put their head down and drive now. Joshua still putting some pressure on. Dylan not close enough to get by Packer. Joshua not close enough either, so. DRS not as powerful as you would think here so far. Seeming like if you got some battery, you're able to kind of keep these guys at bay with a good exit. Beck putting some pressure on Jinnit here. See if Beck can get by. It looks pretty quick right now. He's got that DRS. He's got that toe, but does not get through either. Or maybe he's already passed him. That could be a possibility. Packer pits. So he's gone to hard tires, looking to go to the end. Fuzz to hards. Puff to the hards as well. Doss actually gone to the medium, so he's going to try and make them last to the end of the race, I presume. Wow, Fuzz barely gets out in front of Doth. Doth's going to have nice warmed-up mediums here. This is a really good opportunity for Doth to get through. Let's see if he can make a pass here. Fuzz was a fair distance ahead of Doth on the before the pits, I believe. But Doth should get a really good exit down the main straight here. There it is. He's closing quickly here. He's very close. The DRS is open now. And it looks like Doth is going to get by Fuzz here. See who has the tire advantage before by the end of the race. But Doth carrying a penalty, Fuzz not. So another thing to note. T-Money still keeping Joshua at bay. Scabney's been testing the DRS range of Durnia the last few laps as well. So Fuzz's tire is starting to warm up a little bit. He's actually right on Doth still. Russell pits to the hards. Yeah, Fuzz not close enough to fight that back with the hard tires, so see if maybe needs another lap or two to find the temperature. Cobalt right on the back of Russell here, so he's pit early and on that medium is closed right up to the back of Russell, but he's run very wide here. He's actually going to be within the DRS, I believe. Yes, he is. Cobalt closing very fast on Russell. Can he actually take a stab at overtaking him here? Not close enough this time, but maybe by the end of the lap he could be. Cobalt really reeling in Russell here. Packers lost a few tenths as well, or a few seconds through the pit window. He does not have penalties, though. So that may become a factor at the end of the race if they're running close. T-Money looks like he did get passed by Joshua finally. So Joshua through. Scavney putting that pressure on Dernier still. It's as close as he's been. Let's see if Scavney can go for an overtake here. He's closing fast, and he's going to that outside line. I think he might get this done. He does. Slots in front of Dernier. Takes the chicane in the... Well, I guess it's almost the lead. It's P2 at the moment. Excel Dillon out in front on those mediums. 10-second lead currently. He's obviously got a pit still. Dernier taking a look. Thinking about going for it again. These guys on the same strategy, so this is for track position. Scavney without penalties in front as well, so that's huge. Bad news for Dernier. T-Money now has the essential race leader on his tail, and see if he can hold up Russell here. That might help out Cobalt and Packer. Mess with the championship a little bit. Russell taking a look, but not close enough. He's closing very fast, so has to get out of that, I think. Comes Russell with a very good exit. He's going to go for it on T-Money here. Is T-Money going to fight this? No. T-Money, he's kind of hanging in there, but no. T-Money shouldn't really fight it too hard. This is going to cost himself time in his own strategy. Russell closing on Joshua now. He should get this done down this straight. Shouldn't be much of an issue. Imagine Cobalt goes through in the background there as well. You should see Cobalt make the pass on T-Money. Does he? He's going for it. T-Money defending it. So Cobalt does not get through. That's going to hurt him immensely with his bid to keep up with Russell. Really needed to get by there. There's Cobalt beside T-Money. They're wheel to wheel. Who's going to keep the place? T-Money has the inside for the moment. No. And Cobalt just sticks it around that outside and hangs on later on the brakes and gets through. So we have a yellow flag. That must have been Jinnit. Perhaps in Seabass tangling. Maybe the two hit because they were pretty close together. Dylan has pit for hards. Going to have much better tire life on the fresher hards. See where he comes out. T-Money goes through. Packer goes through. So Dylan does not jump Packer by extending. Doth got Fuzz for company still. Scavney comes out just in front of Puff. So Puff on the warmed up hards. See if he can put some pressure on Scavney here. Does not look like he's going to get close enough. Joshua and Cobalt battling. Cobalt does get through this time. Guess he got by T-Money and Joshua there. Packer's still stuck behind T-Money, so that's not good for Packer. He needs to finish ahead of Cobalt. And Dylan on the fresher hards is putting some pressure on Packer as well now. turn you into the pits. Got a line of cars here, all with DRS, so nobody can really make any moves. Comes Packer, though. He's going to send it on T-Money. He really needs to. He bumps T-Money pretty roughly there. Not sure if T-Money locked up on his own or if it was because of the contact, but Packer's waiting, barges his way through. Dylan barges through as well, and T-Money loses 2 places in 1 corner. 2 corners, I suppose. Packer really needs to get on with it. He cannot watch Cobalt scamper off into the distance either. Dylan closing on Packer, though. The fresh hards, he's applying a lot of pressure here. Can Packer hold him off? Kind of needs to. He does really not need another car in front of him. Larry, nice job from Packer. Great shot there. Packer using all of the circuit to defend. A lot of lockup, so he's really under pressure here. Why is he so slow? I don't know what you mean. I don't know if you mean like compared to normal or if you're just slow at the moment. Cobalt has dropped. That's bad for Cobalt. He's left the session, and that's going to help Packer close in very quickly here. Going to be ghosted AI now. Ooh, Dylan right on Packer. Was there a little bit of contact there? Doing everything he can to get through, and you can see how slow the ghost car is. Cobalt lost 3 places there. Mr. Joshua extending on these hards. You don't have another invite. Let me see if I can get you one. Hang on. We got some cars wheel to wheel here. Dylan and Packer. I can. I don't think I have you, though, so I'm going to have to search for your name. Oh, there you are. I'll send you another one, too, since I've already blocked the menu. Might as well. All right, there we go. It's all good. Dylan didn't get through. I can tell you nothing happened. He's just right on his tail. Wasn't even close to getting by. He's right on it. He's right on his butt, but didn't make the move. Hey man, we got a man drop out of the race here. All right. I would appreciate if the commentator cut away to get me an invite. Admin should have gave him multiple, so that's a mistake on their part. They'll have to make sure everybody gets a couple backup invites so stuff like that doesn't happen, right? But it used to be the spectators couldn't send invites during the race. I remember that was an issue. Here goes Dylan down the inside. Packer and Dylan's wheel to wheel. Packer, oh, there's a big enough contact there. Packer keeps the place. Dylan will not be pleased with that. Felipe Massacre, he was remember I told you before, he was a bad boy. We had to let him go. Cobalt's still having some issues. He's had to rejoin again. Joshua goes by T-Money in the pits. T-Money pinning, getting off those hard tires finally. Joshua staying out on them. Dylan still putting a lot of pressure on Packer here. There's Cobalt. I think he's got his car back now, and he's dropped down behind Doth. Well, Cobalt's got some work to do to get back to anywhere near where he was. Dylan closing in on Packer here. Dylan down the inside. Is he going to get it done finally? He's been sitting there for a while, really putting the pressure on. It looks like he's finally got the place. He does. He slots in front. So Packer's going to have to sit closely to Dylan. See if he can maintain. As long as he's within 6 seconds, he'll get that place. We've lost the intervals for the top 4 here. That beeping, that is, it's a warning for pit personnel that there's a car entering the pit lane. In case they're not looking. Oh, Packers completely missed that corner. And he's picked up a penalty, so probably figured he was going to get one anyway and just sent it, put the pedal down and started going anyway. Cobalt now has got some work to do. He's going to have to get by Doth, try and make up for that drop connection there. Maybe it's bugged, but the beeping that you're hearing near the pit lane is supposed to be for warning when cars enter, so. I'm not gonna, like, I've heard it a couple times, and every time I've checked, there's someone in the pits, so. Cobalt riding on board with Cobalt in the Haas. He's stuck behind Doth right now, can't find a way through. Got Puff has closed up to Scavney. He's going to put some pressure on Scavney here. So Doth may have lost a couple tenths there, so we'll get back up there and check on that in a moment. See if Puff can make a move on Scavney here. Nothing for Cobalt. And Puff, no, not close enough. Big lockup as well, so that's not going to help. He's on much older hards. So Scavney maybe just conserving his tires a little bit at the moment. Oh, Beck did DNF. I did not notice that. There was a yellow flag, sector 2 and 3 at one point, and I was trying to figure out what it was. They must have crashed. Yeah, it must have been a crash, because he was doing fairly well. I don't think he was, like, far enough back that he would park the car or anything like that. So, Cobalt pressuring Doth, really our closest battle at the moment. Puff is starting to lose ground a little bit to Scavney, which makes sense with the tire life. Puff with no penalties, though, so that could come into play at the end of the race if he can stick close. Just got to keep the car on the track, and might gain a few places by the time it's all said and done. Joshua on the fresh mediums and T-Money on fresh mediums, they're going to be a problem behind for Puff as well. He's going to have to pace his tires out a little bit so that he's able to fight. Here comes Cobalt, though, finally making up some ground after being dropped, and he gets by Doth. Does he get by Doth? Yes, he does. So Doth slides back to P5. Cobalt's starting to make up some of the ground he lost. He was ahead of Packer, so he's lost, you know, probably around 4 or 5 seconds as a ghost, and then more stuck behind Doth there. Doth trying to hang on. Has he? I mean, he's got those much fresher hards. It's possible he could close up. I mean, he's just eating tenths out of him. It almost looks like Dylan or Russell's not even pushing. Becca's left the session, understandable. Out of the race for a while now. Doth dives into the pits. Let's get back to the front. See what's going on here. Yeah, he's not really pushing, is he? So I would like to be excited that Dylan's closed up, but it's clear that Russell's lifting and letting him catch up, so it also brings Packer back into play, who has less penalties than them, I assume. No, he doesn't have damage. He's not pushing. It's pretty apparent that he's not really trying, so... Oh, look, we're missing all the action up front. Better get back there. It's hard to get excited about a battle that's occurring simply because someone's not trying. Like, I mean, honestly, I have to say, like, it's kind of taking the fun out of it for me. So now Dylan's letting Packer go. I mean, he's not, though. Like, it's not respect. It's, like, disrespectful, in my opinion. Like, you're making a mockery of the league by not even pushing, like, you know? I don't even want to cover it anymore. Forget it. Just go check out the other battles. They're just wasting my time. Doth putting some pressure on T-Money here. They don't deserve my attention, honestly. It's a joke. Doth putting some pressure on T-Money. See if Doth can make a move. He goes down the inside here. He does get by T-Money. It's a nice move from Doth there, though, on the fresh softs. Making up some ground. Cobalt also on fresh softs. Seabass is out. Oh, there goes T-Money. T-Money has crashed out of the race. He lost it. Trying to catch Doth. He lost it. And Cobalt, it goes by. T-Money out. He went into the barriers, lost a tire. I think he's definitely in a kind of dangerous position, but it does not look like we're going to have a safety car for this. Cobalt. So now Cobalt on a one-lap newer set of softs. He's going to put some pressure on Doth here and see if he can get by. And Joshua on some pretty fresh mediums has caught up to Puff, so he's going to start looking to attack here. I agree with you, Bob. B-A-W-B. I'm just assuming it's Bob. They don't deserve... I'm sure Packer's pushing, because I don't think he's really that type, but the other two... I'm not even going to bother watching them anymore. They're not really racing, so... Joshua putting some pressure on Puff. We got Cobalt really has reeled in Doth here, so we're going to focus on the battles where people are actually fighting for something legitimate. And that's Cobalt putting some pressure on Doth, and Joshua and Puff scrapping. These are for the final handful of points as well. Yeah, I'm not playing your games, honestly. Anyways, I'm glad we actually have some guys fighting properly here. Cobalt is still putting some pressure on Doth, and Doth has closed in on Joshua now, so Puff kind of the cork in the bottle at the moment, holding up all these drivers. So there's a part of Puff that probably wants Doth to get through here, but he can't do that without letting these other guys through, so Puff's going to have to fight this, do everything he can in his power. Joshua closing quickly on Puff here. Durnia also closing on Fuzz ahead. Here comes Joshua down the inside. They go wheel to wheel, and Joshua does get the place. So Puff now in front of his teammate Doth. You surely will just let him through it at the soonest possible moment. Does not want to lift too much because that's going to put Cobalt in a dangerous spot now. Cobalt's so close. Is he going to send it? He does. Oh, barely there. Puff looked like he got a little loose on the exit. Oh, Puff goes wide, so Puff does lose that place now. And nice action there. So Puff on the old hards doing everything he can to keep these guys behind, but it was a losing battle. It was tough to accomplish there. So Durnia now putting some pressure on Fuzz. Good call. Penalty times. Where is it? I always mess this up. 6 seconds for everybody at the front. 6 for Durnia, Scavney 3, Doth with 3, Cobalt 3, Puff with 0. So Puff actually is going to get those places back if he can hang in there for the next lap in a bit. The guys out front there, Dylan, Russell, and Pack are all swapping places now. Durnia closing in on Fuzz here. Jin is retired. He's gone in the pits to retire, so he's done for the night. Durnia putting the pressure on Fuzz, as if Russell uses a controller anyway. Like, what are you even saying? Durnia putting some pressure on Fuzz. Gonna have 1 lap to go here, and there's a lot to play for a few drivers in the fields. Durnia with 6 seconds of penalties really isn't going to gain that place on Fuzz, even if he does get by. He is going to try and want to extend that gap over Scavney and Joshua behind, though. Joshua, Cobalt, Doth very close to the back of Scavney now. Oh, does he? I didn't know that. I honestly figured he was a wheel guy. He's so bloody quick. I don't think it's rare to see people that quick on pad. Scavney, Joshua, Cobalt, Doth, all very close together. Nice little scrap right down to the wire here. All right, well, the order right now is Russell, Dylan, Packer. It's funny you say his R2 button's not working, but his throttle's fully compressed in that image, so I find that hard to believe. Fuzz putting some pressure on Durnia here. Durnia does get that place, so Fuzz trying to hang on, but he is starting to lose that ground. See on the old tires, Fuzz. So the finishers, Russell, Dylan, Packer, the top 3, 1, 2, 3. Durnia finishes P4. Fuzz goes P5. Joshua going to bring it home in P6. Ryan, I think, did that on purpose. He's had a very miserable night. Not very happy with himself. Scavney P7. Cobalt P8. Doth, actually, Doth going to jump. Puff going to jump even further. So Puff up to P7. Nice haul points for Puff. Scavney to P8. Doth to P9. Ace Cobalt to P10. And Fusion's just outside the points in P11. Just got to bring it home around the final few corners here. So that's it. Russell wins it. Dylan goes P2 and Packer P3. Then we got Fuzz, Durnia, Joshua. Yeah, lots of good action through the field there. Everybody was running pretty close together. Let's run you through the order. We'll get the times for you. George Russell wins it. Dylan P2, Packer P3, Fuzz P4. It's a great result for Fuzz there. Excellent drive from him. Durnia takes P5, Joshua P6, Puff P7, Scavney P8, Doth P9, Cobalt P10, Fusions 11, Ryan 12, Jinnit, T-Money, Seabass, Beck, all DNF. Ryan 2 laps down, obviously crashed out there on the final corner and had enough for the night. And it's not even, I don't know if, like, if you find this amusing at all, but a lot of us have put a lot of time and effort into this place and really enjoy racing here. And when I see things like that, it completely takes the enjoyment out of it for me. I'd rather watch him win by 15 seconds. I don't, you know, I don't support it at all, and I don't really care for the sarcastic comments in the chat either, Nolan. I know who you are, and what you did was extremely disrespectful, and that's why you're not here anymore. So, cut the shit. Honestly, it's not funny. It's disrespectful. And on that note, there will be no interviews tonight, so we're going to wrap the broadcast up. You can catch us next week in Italy, and that will be the penultimate race of the season. And we're going to have Great Britain at the very end of the season. It'll be a makeup race for the postponement a few weeks back. Have a great night, everybody.